Why are we talking about Andrew Tate? Why are we here? Who is he?
Because of all the commotion he's caused in the past few days.
He literally has caused commotion. You know what? The thing is, he's caused commotion when people at work, like, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but like,
a little bit. 2 years.
Yeah, when I'm doing my paper round. But when people at work start actually talking about him, that's when you know. And like, there has just been a crazy amount of Andrew Tate going around. So, right, he's a boxer. His dad's a former chess champion, all these other things. But why is he actually so influential? Like, from what there's obviously a lot of people. He's been cancelled for a reason, right? Some of the things he said. But what is it about him that's so inspirational to especially like younger people like yourself?
I would say that I think he just fills the void for like younger people like my age, maybe just a little bit older. He tells them how to get successful, rich, get all these amazing cars, get these Rolexes and everything.
So what would you say, Kuba, to those people who think that Andrew Tate is like top G?
Top G, yeah. I mean, these type of people would come and go. There were many people like him in the past that just grabbed the views, followers, grabbed all the money he could and just disappeared. And then now it's him and people with that phase that they are just obsessed with him. He's going to go, maybe not even a year time, he's going to disappear completely, almost is now. And there's going to be maybe in a year or 2 times, there's going to be another guy popping up, or woman, doing this kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
They just come and go all the time.
It's very true. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I'm sure if we went backwards, we could find many more examples of people like that who've come and gone. Yeah, let me ask you.
So we had super learning days and they were saying we were...
Oh, what? What for super learning?
Super learning days. It's when you have like other kind of lessons, not like maths, English, science. It's
wider, broader.
They talk about jobs and like just crime and all that what happens. And they said, majority of like the crime or like all the like assaults that happen on women, and I mean overall, men. They're saying men are the main oppressors and all of that, and it just makes people our age or a bit older. They'll make them feel vulnerable or weak, make them feel like, oh yeah, men are like this. We should change and all of that. And Andrew Tate just makes you think that, oh yeah, you're a king, go jail, yeah, all of that. He just makes you, he's like a father figure, you could say, like a second father, you could say. He's just influences everyone.
So all those doubts that you're getting put into your mind,
he puts them.
He puts them to ease.
Throw them in the bin, just
forget about that. Go gym.
Focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what they say. Most of them people are just irrelevant. Just focus on yourself.
Okay. And I think that's important, right? Because no matter where you are in life, usually everyone needs some kind of a father figure, role model, something that they can look up to, that they can aspire to. And I feel like, based on what you've just said, to a lot of young people, given the challenges that they face, Andrew Tate gives them quite a satisfactory answer to that. That no, you're not the problem. In many ways, you are the person who's going to solve a lot of those problems and your own problems.
I would say as well, you have to be, like in this day and age, you have to be really careful of what you say. Like one little slip up and there, everyone will be on your case.
Yeah.
You say, why are you saying that, man? And next thing you know, you're in the head teacher's office.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
Happened to my mates a couple of times as well. They said in a joking way, like it was between us on our own like table talking about it. Some girl overheard us because he was saying like I was in misogynistic, but it wasn't really. It was just really sarcasm. The girl overheard it, went straight to the teacher. Next thing you know, he's in the head teacher's office getting suspended.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But the conversation wasn't really involving her or anything. She just overheard it. So I think people need to mind their own business as well when it comes to certain things.
I think that's probably the key sort of thing that the younger male people will be very much inspired by the materialistic side, but also they now, in times where relationships with women are a key element of the image that these people want to present, and they're a key part of, growing up in Western society, that's another key thing that they look at and say, actually, this guy's teaching me how to play the game. Do you know what I mean? Essentially, right? Get a good watch, have a nice car, have lots of money, have a nice, attractive woman on your arm, keep her there. And how do you do that? That's like the dream for like 90% of people. Not for you though, Kuba, right?
No, obviously not for me.
No. Which part?
Everything.
So you don't want a good watch?
No, I don't. I'm not really into watches, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, a nice car would do.
Okay.
A nice car would do.
Bugatti. I think we should probably tackle some of those things a little bit more seriously, because they are having quite a significant impact on a lot of people, and young people in particular. Is it wrong to be, materialistic? Is it harmful? Is it wrong to want a nice car? Is it wrong to want a nice watch? Is it wrong to want to be rich?
Well, Andrew Tate's ideology doesn't really fit in with Islamic views.
How so?
Well, his views on how to get money, have all these nice cars, watches and everything, it doesn't really fit in with Islam. Like, yeah, you can have money in Islam, but it comes to a certain point where you're either being arrogant and being humble with it.
Yes. And I think that's probably a key element, that if you've got wealth and you're being very ostentatious with it, you're showing it off to everyone, you want everyone to see it off. Look, I've got a really nice car. And then you go on YouTube and you talk about it. And then you go on Twitter and post pictures on it. And your Instagram feed is full of your car, your watches, your home, blah, blah, blah. That begins to fall into that thing that you just said, which is you start to, give off this image, that arrogant image of, look at me, I've got so much money. Whereas actually, Islam doesn't say, don't get rich. Islam says if you've got capability, you've got a great business idea, you are, very intelligent and get into a really high paid job, and you're a really talented sports person and you get into a sports career that happens to get you lots and lots of money, football being the prime example. Islam doesn't say, you have to avoid all of those things, right? The key thing is twofold. One, the money isn't, the objective of getting there, and two, if you do get it, do be exactly like you just said, be humble about it. Yeah, and how, the key things for being humble within Islam, one of them that comes to my mind, charity.
Yeah, and like Huzur also said, all Ahmadis should be humble and show humility to others.
Agreed.
So, yeah, what he's been doing is not really humble and showing humility, isn't it?
I agree. There's one other thing within that, but much as I think I'm, an exceptional football player,
I agree.
All the teacher could. The reality is, I'm nowhere near good enough to be anywhere near a professional team. Does that mean if somebody else is good enough to be, a professional footballer, they should just look down on everyone else who couldn't make it? A lot of it is about, opportunity. The fact that, somebody's parents coached them from the age of 6 probably helps quite a lot.
Yeah.
You get a bit of luck, no injuries, none of that stuff that might pull you down. And then, some of it is just God's gifted certain people with certain abilities. Does that mean then that everyone who doesn't have that, you should look down on them? No, right? Islam is very much in favor of pull up those other people, try and help them to get to as successful a level as they can as well. Whether that's through sharing knowledge, through sharing that wealth. And you're right. I think a lot of the people, including Andrew Tate, a lot of the things that they do just verge on, that arrogance, boastfulness of, look at me, I need 7 million people to follow me to feel vindicated, to feel valued.
Yeah, but also on some positive that he's also been having, he has his own university, Hustlers University, and there were 2 or 3 people in my year, in year 11. They paid, I think, £50
Yeah.
to join the Hustlers University, and they show me everything. Every single day there are like tips and how to start like a business or how to start drop shipping, get into cryptocurrencies. And they said since they've started paying for this monthly, it's actually been helping them out quite a bit with earning money and everything like that.
And that's fantastic, right? And this is where we say there is no person or thing really where everything about it is good or bad. In the Quran, even about alcohol and gambling, like those are two things that everyone who's watching this podcast, they know that that's haram, right? You can't do that in Islam. But the Quran specifically says there is good in them, but there is also evil, and the evil outweighs their good. Therefore, leave it. And that's where we need to be a bit more, I don't know what the word's probably discerning, to just be like, look, this guy says 100 things. 20 of them are actually really good, really positive, really helpful, but 80 of them have a negative impact on me. Now, you either need to be a person who can sit there and distill and say, actually, those 80 were wrong, those 20 were good, I'm just going to focus on the 20, in which case, fantastic. But a lot of the time what happens is those lines get blurred. You listen to 100 things and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure. Some of these are like in that grey area, and you start taking on some of those things slowly but surely. Exactly. So sometimes, you have to figure out, is it worth me listening to this guy at all? And if I am listening to it, am I really thinking about what he's saying and whether it's right or it's wrong? Let's, the one example that I look at the moment, Hazur has been really emphasizing the examples of some of the companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and his servants. There was one companion, Hazrat Abdurrahman bin Auf. He was renowned for wearing really nice clothes. He used to wear really nice perfume. He was, one of the richest men in Makkah and then subsequently Medina when he moved across, because he was just such a fantastic businessman. He was one of the, most respected companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. When the names were given after the Holy Prophet ﷺ for someone to become Khalifa, not Hazrat Abu Bakr, but after that, his name was among those names that were presented. He was, when he was incredibly rich. So it doesn't mean that wealth is bad. Even the current, Hazur, Aydullah Ta'ala bin Aziz, may Allah be his helper, he said at various sermons, by all means, if you're capable and you think, I don't say turn away from the world. By all means, if you're able to get a good house, get a good car, by all means do that. But don't forget your responsibilities to God and to other people. And I think that's the barometer that we need to apply to all of these things. I think the key, one of the things that I want to understand, obviously it's been a few years since I've been in any kind of real education, right? It's been a while. How common, you just told me about these guys that your thing, you were in the Hustlers University. I didn't even know this thing was listed, right? But how common is if people talking about Andrew Tate? Are they talking about it all the time? Is he
last year everyone was talking about him. He was like the hot topic
really?
of our whole year. This year no one really talks about him. They've kind of forgotten about him. There are some people that still watch him, but he's mostly been forgotten about. Not really care about him anymore.
Okay.
So it's just like a trend. It was almost like a trend.
Do you think that a part of that might be because a lot of the things that he was saying, how people have almost adopted that to say this is right, and therefore we don't necessarily discuss it because actually 10 of us agree.
Yeah, and also it could be that people can't really watch him as much now because he's been banned off almost every single platform. Yeah, but I think he's doing some podcasts on some unknown websites not really many people know about, so he's going to get banned off it.
Okay.
But so not many people know that he still does live streams and everything.
Fine. So the demand might still be there, but the supply is it was really
they don't know where to watch it.
Okay. Fair. Can we talk a little bit about why that might be the case? And I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but am I right in that, is that those are the key things that, you know, inspire these ill people? Money, women.
Yeah, I agree with that, because is at this age, at my age, that's their main force, to get money and just to get girls and all that, you know what I mean? That's just their main force, and they just mostly think about that. But what you really should be thinking about is your studies at this age. Like, I'm coming into year 11, I've just been thinking about my GCSEs and when to do revision. I mean, our wife will come up to you to time, but that will cost at a certain time when you're successful, inshallah.
Inshallah. That's very true. And I think the education aspect, you're right, that should be the key focus. But it can be hard when there's so much talk about girls, money, etc., to stay out of it completely. And that's why I think it's really important to know, or to have some idea of, where can I find the right balance? Because it's not always easy, right? When I was 14, 15, 16, I was making these mistakes. You don't know whether to go this side of the line, that side of the line. And often you do go to the wrong side, go to the right side. You know, these mistakes happen. So I think it's quite important to have almost a guiding force to help you make some of those right choices. And that's where I think it's really important that people spend as much time as they can trying to listen to Hazur. Even that 20-30 minutes of This Week with Hazur on a Friday night that gets released, even that, you know, if people were just listening to that, they would hear so many good answers to some of these questions. It would be, you know, something that I really, really recommend.